Your Excellency, it's a pleasure sitting down and interviewing you on this occasion on Al Arabiya English. We'd like to get an introduction from you about Somaliland, an autonomous state that has been running its own system and economy and rule of law since 1991, I believe. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, first, it's always a pleasure to be here. And I just would like to start by saying that a lot of people confuse Somaliland with Somalia. The two are different. Somaliland was the former British protectorate, and Somalia was a former Italian colony. Somaliland got its independence on 26 June 1960 and was an independent state with a prime minister and a council of ministers and a legislative body before it joined Somalia on 1st July 1960. So it was really, there were two independent states that formed the Somali Republic at that time. Now Somaliland and Somalia were together for over 30 years. And that wasn't a very good experience for the Somaliland people. And when eventually the Somalia government collapsed in 1991, the people decided to reclaim their independence and return to the status quo of back in 26 June 1960. And since 1991, that's 27 years now, Somaliland has been an independent country. We have started reconciling our people in the early years and then decided to adopt democracy as a form of government, and that's what we have been doing. And since then, I think we had 6 elections, 3 presidential elections, and a parliamentary election, and 2 council elections. And Somaliland is peaceful, stable country in the Horn of Africa. It's an exemplary, in fact, in many ways.
And how is Somaliland ruled? It's a presidential democratic system, but there are other factors that are involved, maybe tribal factors.
Well, Somaliland, as I said, adopted the democratic system as a way of governing it itself. We have 3 political parties which freely compete for the votes of the public. And we have a parliament which is elected by the people, by one man, one vote, and a president which is elected also by the people. So we have a presidential system and a parliamentary system at the same time. And it's a system that works very well for us. And we think we have one of the most transparent and accountable and democratic systems in the Horn of Africa.
But why is there no international recognition for Somaliland?
Well, by the way, Somaliland is in a way recognized, but de facto. It's only the de jure recognition which is still elusive and missing. But everybody understands that there is a country out there called Somaliland, with a government which has authority and control over its territory. Somaliland fulfills all the conditions of a sovereign state. It has defined boundaries. It has a permanent population, 4 million people, and it has the ability to enter into agreements with other governments, with international companies, and institutions as well. So in a way, Somaliland is recognized, but of course, we would like to see a de jure recognition to be a member of the international community.
And are there any kind of objections to your autonomous state by Somalia?
Yeah, well, Somalia still claims Somaliland to be part of Somalia when it's not in fact. The facts on the ground are that there is a country called Somaliland which on its own, which is not ruled by Somalia. So the claim is there, but it's just a claim. Because the fact of the matter is Somaliland is a separate country.
And there is an economic boom in Somaliland. There's banking systems, there are communications systems established, international transactions occur. How did Somaliland manage to do that within this last period?
I think in Somaliland we have done what you might consider to be a miracle. Because in 1991, for example, let's take the case of Hargeisa, which is the capital, was basically a rubble. There was nothing standing in 1991. And in just 26 years, without assistance from the international community and without recognition, we rebuilt our cities, particularly the capital, to the stage that now we have a bustling, metropolis with over 1 million population. And we have, dozens of universities. We have private banks. There are 3 private banks. And, we have adopted, in fact, a cashless system of transaction at the present time. We're one of the first, I think, in the world when it comes to the cashless society, using electronic money, And I think we have achieved all that through our effort of our people, the diaspora people who are, in America and in the West, in Western Europe, particularly in the Gulf, in fact, has played a major role in rebuilding the country.
I wanted to touch upon your relationship with the Gulf, and we see the UAE establishing a military base in Somaliland. Furthermore, DP World has taken over Berbera Port for a long-term period of about 30 years. And all these investments coming from the UAE, how are they helping grow the economy in Somaliland?
Well, our relations with the United Arab Emirates and the Gulf, in fact, goes a long way. We had always a very good relationship, particularly economic and financial and commercial relationship with the United Arab Emirates and also with Saudi Arabia in the region. And, we're just building on that. As you said correctly, we have given a 30-year concession to DP World to develop and extend the port of Berbera, which we think should be a major hub in the region, to serve, the countries, not only Somaliland, but the countries in the region. We have many landlocked countries in that part of the world. We have Ethiopia, Uganda, South Sudan, and so on. So we believe that's an initiative and a development which will help the whole region. As you also pointed out, we gave a security facility to the United Arab Emirates to be used, and we hope. Some people sometimes express concerns about the impact of that, or the instability that may cause. As a matter of fact, as far as we are concerned, we think it's a stabilizing factor, which is added to the region. This is a very important region, more than 30,000 ships just pass in our seas through the Red Sea every year, and I think it's very important to make sure that route, that important maritime route, is clear and free of piracy. And we hope the presence of the United Arab Emirates, security will add to the security of the region and for ensuring that we have a free flow of trade, of world trade in that part of the world.
And you have over 800 kilometers of coastline. How do you secure yourselves from piracy, from what's going on in Bab el-Mandeb, north of Somaliland, and the dangers of the Houthis hurting the maritime trade, or even the Iranian ships and facilities?
Well, you're absolutely right. We have about 800 kilometer long coast, and we have been able to free that area of piracy. Piracy is a land-based crime, and in fact, we have managed to make sure that the pirates do not have that base in Somaliland, and we have a coast guard which is efficient and strong. Of course, it can be developed. We hope it will be developed, and we hope the United Arab Emirates will help us develop, which is taking care of the security of the seas.
So what's the role of the UAE from a security perspective in Somaliland and around the coast?
Well, we hope the presence of the United Arab Emirates in Somaliland will strengthen stability and security in the region. I mean, as you have correctly pointed out, there are some there is a lot of contention in that region at the present time. Unfortunately, it seems like we are going back to the bad Cold War sort of days. We believe the presence of the United Arab Emirates will add to stability in the region.
And what are the threats that you see at the moment in the region around you?
Well, we face the same threats that other countries in the region face at the present time. There is the extremism, of course. There is the piracy. There is the illegal immigration, human trafficking. I mean, these are all instabilities, and of course, as you know, in Somalia there is still a lot of instability going on in there, and now we have the war in Yemen. So there are a good number of challenges at the present time in the region.
And with at this time, with all these threats around you, is that affecting the trade flow to Somaliland?
Well, not really exactly. The trade is just flowing as it used to be, but of course it adds additional uncertainty and risk at the regional level, not necessarily at the Somaliland level, but at the regional level. And we would like to see the whole region peaceful and stable and prosperous. That's really our objective and aim.
So how deep are your relationships with the other Gulf countries, with Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and so forth?
Well, we have good relations, in fact, with all of them. We have good relations with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is our main export destination. Our main exports are livestock, and they go mainly to Saudi Arabia, up to 80%. We have also commercial ties and relations with Oman. We have good relations with Kuwait. There are a number of projects which Kuwait funds now, funded in Somaliland. So we have a very good relationship with all the countries in the region.
And to what level or what end would you like to take those relationships?
We would like to deepen those relationships with the Gulf countries. We would like to see more investors coming from the region. We would like to see more trade flows between us and the region. And in fact, we would like to see our economies more integrated. We have a lot of opportunities for investors in particular in different areas, in agriculture, in livestock, in minerals, in tourism, in services. We would like to see some of the investors in this part of the world coming to Somalia and investing in it.
And I would like to know more about the Foreign Direct Investment Office and the Trade Office that you're establishing in Dubai. What's the goal of that setup, and what's the aim behind it?
We're planning to set up an investment company within the Dubai International Financial Center. And the purpose of that company will be to facilitate investment in Somaliland as an international hub. That will be to attract investors not only from this part of the world, from the Gulf, but also from the rest of the world. Yeah. Well, its role will be to create venture companies, joint companies, from investors from different parts of the world. And it will be a facilitator. It will be a facilitating company, basically. The companies will be working and operating in Somaliland, but the formation will take place here.
And I wanted to know more about the relationship with Somalia. There's a new presidency in Somalia, and there's a new presidency in Somaliland. And I wanted to know if there's been any engagement or communication between the two governments.
Yes, well, we consider Somalia as a neighbor. Unlike the rest of our neighbors, we would like to have a good, cordial, friendly relationship with Somalia. We started a dialogue to establish our future relations with Somalia back in 2012, and that started in London. Since then, we had maybe about 10 different meetings, mainly facilitated by the Turks. Now the talks are in suspense, has been suspended in 2016. But both Somaliland and the President of Somaliland and the President of Somalia are committed to the resumption of the talks, and we hope that this year we will resume the talks again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.